Good evening, everyone, and welcome or welcome back if you were with us last week to Enotria&Co's Grape Escape Live. So, on to Mr. Chardonnay, Planeta Winery. The Planeta family are fascinating. They are today, the winery is one of the leaders in kind of the modern Sicilian scene, but they have a really, really rich history, and they have been making wine, they've been in agriculture for 17 generations, but it wasn't until 1985 that Diego Planeta, Alessio, Francesca and Santi, his children and nieces and nephews, they decided they would plant vines and make wine. So they continue to evolve and innovate. They have not one, but not two, but 6 individual boutique wineries dotted around the island, each of them reflecting the kind of unique and diverse terroir that Sicily has to offer. They're big in wine, but they really have a wider strategy around Sicily to promote tourism, art and cuisine. We'll hopefully hear a bit more about some food later on as well. And then more about Alessio. So I'm going to ask Alessio to join us very, very shortly. Alessio is the co-owner and he's also the winemaker at Planeta. He has a degree in winemaking. He has a master's in agriculture, and he's really dedicated his life to study Sicilian history and viticulture, and to really find out how to make it a real force in the winemaking world. So I'm going to invite Alessio on now to join me. Anyone who was here last week, I really hope this goes better than last week. Hello, Alessio, welcome.
Good evening to everybody. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Cheers. A very nice setting. I think you've out-settinged me slightly. I've tried very hard. So Alessio, I'm gonna ask you a few questions before we go into the tasting. Oh, cheers, by the way.
Yes, I'm a glass also.
Yeah,
cheers.
Good. Very important. So the first question I'm going to ask you is just really around Sicily itself. Sicily is almost like a country in itself, and I think it'd be really interesting to hear from you, because you've studied it in so much depth, just broadly how it differs from the rest of Italy in terms of viticulture and in terms of culture.
Yeah, so Sicily is quite different from the rest. So first of all, we are an island in the middle of the Mediterranean area, and surrounded by the sea. Living in Sicily is a little bit different than living in another place, and not only as winemaker. Sicily is in the center of Mediterranean area that was the heart of the development of viticulture in the antiquity. So in Sicily we had a lot of many different influence that you can see in architecture, in food, and in wine also. So in Sicily we have so many different grapes. We have so many different food, and again architecture. Also the terroir in Sicily is very different. We have more than 3 months of harvest in a small island.
Wow.
The north of Sicily is done of mountains. The southwest of Sicily is done around of clay soils. Southeast is done of sandy soils and calcareous soils. And then you have the big volcano Etna on the northeast. So there is a diversity in Sicily that I think in viticulture is unique. Many varieties, many different terroirs, and such a the diversity also in climate condition. This was an inspiration for my family. This is why we are not in one place, but we are in different places in Sicily, because every place is a different wine, is a different story, and of course a different, expression of terroir for us.
Do you have any plans to make any more wineries around the island, or are you at your level, your limit?
The last project of Planeta was in the northeast of Sicily, was in the area of Mamertino. And with this project, I promised to my family that this is the last one, because we cover most of Sicily, because we start in Menfi, so southwest, where is our home, my family is based is from this area. Then we went to Vittoria, then to Noto, then Etna, and then Capomirato. So now we do all the tour of Sicily. and it's enough, you know. We cover all the terroirs that was for me and for us was like very interesting to cover to produce wines, for producing wine.
Right, so I'm going to let you hand over to you now to taste through the two wines. And I know there's some questions come, so if you think you've written a really good question, just write it again. I'm going to jot a few down and try and ask them throughout and after the tasting. But over to you, Mr. Chardonnay, with one of the most iconic wine that Planeta make, I believe. So tell us about it.
Yes. Okay, we have this is very important wine for us because we make this wine since the 94, and we make this wine since the beginning of. This is the first bottle of Planeta Chardonnay 94.
Wow.
We have done 5,000 bottles of this, and we have I think 20 bottles left. And this was the beginning of Planeta. And to make Chardonnay was at the beginning, when I finished my study, I went to work for a vintage in Burgundy. And when I fly back to Sicily, our consultant, our master in winemaking was Carlo Corino, that was a winemaker born in Alba, but he spent most of his life around the world, first in Africa, strange, and then in Australia. So with him, when he fly back from Australia in '89, because my uncle Diego find this man in Australia, he make him an offer he can't refuse, and he fly back to Italy, to Sicily, in '89. We start to work with him, and we make this barrel fermented Chardonnay that was absolutely like something coming from the moon in the 90s in Italy, but it was very important for us. We went with this one for 4 times in the first 100 Wine and Wine Spectator, and I remember the first rating of our Chardonnay was done in England by a very old wine review called Wine, where there was a testing of Italian Chardonnay with the most famous Chardonnay like Gaia, whatever, and this wine was #1. It was really a shock for us, and was I still remember I went out in the market with this newspaper in my hand, and people said, "What are you doing here? You pretend to make a better wine than Mr. Gaia or Mr. Antinori or whatever." But it was the beginning of Planeta, and it was a good story. And of course, it's a barrel fermented and aged Chardonnay. Stay 11 months in French oak with half new and half 1 years old barriques. But the real secret is are the vineyards. It came from 2 different vineyards. One is called Ulmo, is on the border of a lake, of Lago Arancio, beautiful place, where is our oldest winery. And the other vineyard is called Maroccoli, is on the hills at 400 meters, in a place that is super green, super isolated in the middle of the Sicilian more clean and untouched landscape. And then stay 11 months in French oak, and the rest is in your glass.
It's beautiful. It's a powerful wine, but it's sort of creamy and it's crisp at the same time. And I think it's that balance between being delicate and elegant, but really memorable. And I think I just get so much here. Loads of stone fruit, the peaches. You get that kind of almond marzipan character with it as well, and a kind of cereal note. And it's just it's lovely and long, and I think it's stunning. It's one of the most famous Chardonnays that Enotria talk about. So if you're French, then close your ears. But this is one of the iconic Chardonnays, and it's a real delight to be able to drink it with you.
I'd be glad if you go on.
I had one question. Sorry to interrupt you. From Cork Cliffs. How can I get hold of the 94 Chardonnay? You showed it, so people want to know. Is there any 1994
if
left?
they come and visit us, we can drink it together. It will be a pleasure.
There you
Because,
go.
you know, sometimes we open the old bottles. I'm here today in the room where we stock all our, we call this room Infernotto. Is where we have every vintage of every wine from Planeta. And of course, we keep it for to drink with friends. So I'm waiting.
We're all your friends.
Yeah.
Yes. I had another question before we move on to the next wine. By the way, there's a lot of love. I don't know if you're probably not following because you've been speaking, but a lot of people saying how much they love this wine and how much they're enjoying it. So there was a question earlier on, which I think has been quite interesting, and it's slightly off topic. But someone, sorry, I didn't catch who, asked about Mount Etna, and you know that's it's an active volcano, and is it dangerous to plant vines there? Is like, why would you do that? What's the risk? You know, so tell us a bit more about Etna and what you're doing there.
You know, in these days there is quite a big and spectacular eruption coming from the volcano, but it's not so dangerous. I want to say it's not the more dangerous things that we have around the world at the moment, as you know. But it's not so dangerous, you know why? Also because Etna is very big, and from the top of the volcano, where usually you have lava and whatever, until the place where we have vineyards, where people live, there is a lot of space. There is a lot of valley where the lava can stop, and so is not dangerous for people. It's not like living in a small island like we have in the north of Sicily. We have for example, Stromboli, that is really a small island where all people lives on the slopes of the volcano. This is a little bit more tricky, but the Etna is something that we live with the Etna as Sicilians since the millennium, happily, and we check it every morning, but it's okay.
Well, worst case scenario, you've got 5 other wineries, right? So
you know, every winery that we have done is really in the heart of the area. Our winery in Etna is really facing from the door from where the winemakers where we work is we have a window in the room where we have barriques that is that look at the top of the volcano, so we can check every day, every morning volcano from our winery.
Wow, it's super cool. Everyone loves a volcano. Let's move on now to the Cerasuolo. So
Yes.
the red wine. So I'll let you talk us through and taste us through the Cerasuolo.
Yeah. With the Cerasuolo, that is the only one Sicilian DOCG. We go on the southeast of Sicily. So we move from Memphis, 180 kilometers going to the south. In Sicily, we have 22 appellations and only DOC, and only one DOCG. The area is in this what is very special in the Cerasuolo for me are 2 things. First, soils. Soils are red sandy soils. Ep2 Vittoria is a system of platform that from the sea go up until the mountain, and our vineyards are not far from the sea. And the soils are done of 90 centimeters of red sandy soils, and then a lot of white calcareous soils. So the vineyards have part of the roots on the sand and part of the roots in calcareous soils. So on the shelves of the sea. So this sea are all sea that came out from the sea. Grapes here are 2 grapes, Nero d'Avola and Frappato. So Nero d'Avola 60%, Frappato 40%. There is no wood in this wine, just to keep the freshness and the flavor of this wine. And if Nero d'Avola you can find in most of the south part of Sicily, Frappato is only in this area. And in the past they called this great Frappato di Vittoria, so there was only in this area Frappato. And the result is a very aromatic red grapes. That usually in Sicily we like to have with tuna, we like to have with fish, but we like to have with any kind of sauce, tomato sauce, sorry. And you know why not with pizza? Because people don't know, but to have pizza instead of beer with wine instead of beer with pizza is a pleasure of life. And Cerasuolo is the wine.
So sorry to interrupt you. So Jason Bailey has just asked, because this is something that I was going to mention, would you be able to drink this slightly chilled?
Chill, yes, of course. And I suggest two things. First, to chill at 16 degrees or 15, 16. And second, to have a balloon that makes the wine much more, perform much better than another regular glass. But for me, another thing about Cerasuolo is a kind of wine that when you taste it, you never forget about the wine. It's so diverse from the rest of the wine. I have this strawberry flavor, these red fruity flavors that are quite unique. And I will like very much. And we have a beautiful place in Vittoria. The name of the farm is Dorilli. We have a
Are you inviting us all again? So I have to do a shout out to Sergio De Luca, good friend of yours and our director of buying for Italy. And he's just messaged to say he is drinking it right now with tuna. So there you go. Good. No, it's really delicious. It's really unusual, and it's a really good wine, I think, for this time of year. We don't get as much sunshine as you do, sadly, but we have had a fair amount over the last few weeks, and it's just got that really like vibrant, crunchy red fruit, almost like pomegranate, strawberries. There are tannins, but they're so smooth, and it just jumps out of the glass. It's such a great summer wine, and you know. Fish, tuna. People don't talk about red wine with fish, but I think this could really work. But even with cured meats or just barbecue on a nice day. So really, that's kind of it, everyone. I just want to, I guess, start by saying the most huge thank you to you, Alessio. It really has been so fun and enjoyable, and obviously a great honour to taste. I wish it could go on for longer, but sadly that's it. So just thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and tasting through some of your wines with us this evening.
As you know, Enotria was our first importer around the world. My first bottles was to Enotria many years ago, and I was very happy to do this. I'm not, as you can see, an Instagram star, but I've done my best. And so thank you very much. And I hope that this charity also will work well, because I think this is something that is a good moment to do things like this, and we do it with our heart. Really.